guys, Lucas Sacco here. Today we're going to be looking at Draco Tail, or as in the OCG they called it, Dragon Tail. This is going to be one of the main 3 decks that's going to be coming out in Juhu, and honestly this is going to be one of the most competitive decks going forward in the near future, and possibly even better in the future. We haven't gotten the second wave of support for these decks yet, but it looks really promising. This is going to be a complete guide, so from start to finish, if you know absolutely nothing about the deck, this is the video for you. Let's get into it. So starting off here, the deck that I have on my screen is a Draco Tail Canine deck. I'm not going to go over any of the Canine cards. That'll be in a separate video. If you guys want to check it out, it should be posted like tomorrow or Wednesday, whatever this day is. But we're going to go over all of the Dragon Tail cards in the deck here, and I'm going to go over all of the possible variations of things that you can do with this deck. If you look at the side deck here, there's about 1,000 different variations of the deck. We're going to go over just about every single one of them. I think that personally right now, as we are coming out just after Juhu's release, I think the best version of this deck is going to be Canine Dragon Tail. This Magistus part is going to be the most consistent build and the most popular build played in the OCG, but we are not sure if we're going to get these cards, so I'm not going to go over them too much. Let's just go ahead and get straight into them. We have Dragon Tail Phimena. This is going to be the main combo card of the deck, and what a lot of the builds that you see going around right now revolve around. It's mainly this card here. Going forward, we're just going to read through the card. It says, during the main phase quick effect, you can discard this card, fusion summon 1 dragon or spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. That means that if you go second, you can activate this card, and you can just start playing the game on turn 0. That's going to be a really common theme as we get into the Juhu format. Pretty much all the decks except for Yummy are going to have a very, very strong turn 0 presence on the field, whether they're going first or second. But I think that it totally evens out because of Yummy's like infinite grind game and strong pressure through boards. But anyways, the Phimena is quick effect fusion. It's basically all it does is discard, activate polymerization. Really cool card here. The next thing we're going to look at on this card is if an effect that all of the Dragon Tail monsters have. Says if this card is sent to the graveyard as fusion material, you can set 1 Dragon Tail spell/trap from your deck. Now we're going to hover over all of these Dragon Tail monsters because there's currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. They all have that effect. Let's say if it's used as fusion material, it's going to set a card. Some of them have an additional effect when they're used as fusion material, but it's set a card and then do something else. But they all have that same effect, like set a card when they're used as fusion material. Moving on, we have the second one here. We have Dragon Tail Molar. I don't know how to say his name. He's a little guy. He's cool looking. Anyways, it says during the main phase, quick effect, you can fusion summon 1 Dragon Tail fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except for fusion monsters. Quick thing I want to go over here. Cool thing about Phimena is Phimena does not lock you at all. So if you're wanting to do like link plays, you're more than welcome to do link plays and then activate Phimena effect, or even do Phimena first and then do link plays after. Whereas Molar, you have to do them before, because it says for the rest of the turn you cannot summon anything except for fusion monsters from your extra deck. So keep that in mind. The other thing with Molar is that you have to specifically special summon a Dragon Tail fusion monster, whereas Phimena you don't. So in the OCG, one of the most common things they're doing is they're playing 3 copies of Shaddoll Beast in their deck, and they just really hope to open Phimena as well as hard draw a copy of Shaddoll Beast so that they can make a turn 0 window on the opponent. It's really cringe. It's really cringe, but it's not something I think we're going to see in the TCG, at least for a little bit, because we don't have the corresponding like Magistus cards to go with it to kind of up the consistency of the broken things you can do in turn 0. So that's something that for right now we're not going to have to look at. But we have Molar. The second effect on Molar here, it says if this card is sent to graveyard as fusion material, you can set 1 Dragon Tail spell or trap from your deck. Then you can negate the effects of 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. So you're really going to try to fusion with this during your opponent's turn. Being able to not only negate a monster on the field non-targeting is very, very good, but also you're going to get to set more follow-up. You're setting it during your opponent's turn, so you're not really going to get value out of it immediately, but I mean, you're getting a free negate off of it and follow-up. So phenomenal card there. And then we have Lucius. This is going to be the main starter for the deck, so when you're not doing like cool extension plays or turn 0 plays, Lucius is going to be the one you're starting out with. It says if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Dragon Tail monster from your deck to your hand, except Dragon Tail Lucius. And then, of course, it has that same effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard as fusion material, you can set 1 Dragon Tail spell/trap from your deck. Besides those 3 main ones, because these are the ones that we are going to be playing the most of, the ones we're going to be comboing with, we also have 2 big monsters. You're going to play one of these guys. You hopefully don't draw them unless you already have a way to fusion summon. We're wanting to send these from our deck to the graveyard a lot of the time. But we have Urgula. Urgula says, if this card is sent to the graveyard as fusion material, you can set 1 Dragon Tail spell/trap from your deck. Then you can destroy 1 spell/trap on the field. That is an optional effect. You don't have to do it, but a non-target spell/destroy, spell-trap destroy is obviously very, very strong. The second effect of Urgula we're going to use in a lot of our combos. It says, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 spellcaster Dragon Tail monster in your graveyard. Place this card on the bottom of the deck, and if you add that monster to your hand. So being able to dump this, set a card, and then use it to immediately add back like your Phimena is really, really good on top of your end board. Then we have Dragon Tail Pain. This is the last main deck monster they have. It says if this card is sent to the graveyard as fusion material, set a Dragon Tail spell / trap from your deck. Then you can destroy one monster on the field. Phenomenal card, right? Non-target monster destroy, and it gets to set something is insane. And it also has an effect that says, if a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, while this card is in the graveyard, you can place this card in the bottom of the deck, and if you do special summon one non-fusion Dragon Tail monster from your graveyard. So what you're doing with this a lot of the time is you're actually summoning back the Molar, and then you can use him to fusion summon during your opponent's turn, because it is a quick effect during the main phase. It doesn't have to just be yours. That's it for the monsters. This deck is really unique in the fact that it has so many different cards coming out for it, whereas Yummy just has like 6 cards coming out for it, and most of them are extra deck cards. I think it has more than 6, but like it doesn't have as many main deck cards that are coming out for it as this deck does. Same thing goes for the K9 deck. This deck by far has the most unique cards that's coming out for it. It's got 2 spells from the main deck and 2 traps. It has Key 2 Dragon Tail, which just says add a Dragon Tail monster from your hand. Rhoda, fantastic. And then it has an additional effect that says, and if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon one dragon or spellcaster monster from your extra deck. You can fusion summon one dragon or spellcaster monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. So going second, we not only get a Rhoda, we get to activate a free polymerization. Phenomenal, right? Especially when we're able to use the card that we use the card we add to fusion with. So you could add like your Pain if you're going second, just immediately fusion with it. We're going to make a fusion monster, get an add. We get a set of Dragon Tail spell or trap because he was used as fusion material, and then we can also pop a monster on the field. Really, really powerful when going second. And then we have Rahu Dragon Tail. This is probably the best spell that's come out in the past couple of years. It says fusion summon one Dragon Tail fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, field, or deck as fusion material. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for fusion monsters. It's branded fusion. I don't know if you figured that out, but it's branded fusion. The only thing that's restricting it right now is that the only Dragon Tail fusion monsters we have all require 1+ monster in the hand or 1 monster in the hand. So a lot of the time you're having to fuse with just any monster in your hand, but you're still getting to dump and summon a fusion monster off of just 1 card. Phenomenal, right? And then we have 2 traps. Now these traps are really powerful cards. They're really good disruptions for the deck. But one thing to keep in mind with this is both of these cards do get interacted with by hand traps. Let's go over them first and we can talk about it. You're going to end with both of these traps on pretty much all of your inboards. The first one is Dragon Tail Horn. It says target 1 attack position monster on the field, return to the hand / extra deck. Then you can place 1 Dragon Tail card from your graveyard or banishment on the bottom of your deck and draw a card. Phenomenal, right? Removal, draw a card. I mean, searchable, settable from deck, right? Not much can make this card any better. One thing to keep in mind is it does have to be attack position monsters. So if you're playing into this deck, if you're playing against it, there's a lot of things that you can do to try to like play around certain cards. Then we have Dragon Tail Flame. It says target 1 face-up spell on the field. Negate its effects. Then you can place 1 Dragon Tail card from your graveyard or banishment on the bottom of the deck and draw 1 card. Now, why did I say these cards lose to hand traps? This random effect to also draw a card is phenomenal in some aspects, but at the same time, it does kind of put a hindrance on you. One of the most played cards in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Ash Blossom, right? We can see it down here. 3 Ash Blossoms. You can Ash Blossom these traps. It's not only going to stop the draw, but it's also going to stop the whole disruption part. Kind of like how you can Ash MTP right now, and it really is detrimental to them. That's going to be a big thing. The other thing is that Purge is going to be a card that a lot of decks are going to play. Mainly just Yummy decks, but Yummy is going to be a very popular deck in the metagame. And being able to Purge going second to stop one of their main disruptions is going to be really, really impactful. The other weird thing is that since it technically returns from grave or banish, you can also Bell the trap cards. I don't know if Bell is going to be a very popular card, but it is something that you can do. Being able to Bell, Purge, or Ash Blossom on the trap cards to stop them and being able to push through the boards is really something that's scary, honestly, for playing this deck. But you have so many different interactions that it probably is fine if they waste 1 card on one of your traps. Right now, the deck only has 2 fusion monsters. It's got Dragon Tail Altharion. This is going to be the main fusion monster of the deck. You're going to be summoning one of these on your turn almost every single time because it's going to be a great extension for you. But it's also going to be a card you're going to summon on your opponent's turn to be a really good form of disruption. It requires 1 Dragon Tail monster plus 1 monster in your hand. That can be anything, a Fuwalos, Pirelli, even an Ash Blossom. It doesn't really matter what you use because you're going to make something that's absolutely more broken than whatever you fuse with. This card says, if this card is fusion summoned, you can target monsters on the field and or graveyard up to the number of monsters used as material from the hand. Return them to the hand. So you're going to bounce stuff back. That's not only going to be something that's really, really good as a disruption on your opponent's side of the field, because you can target their cards, right? It's on the field and or any graveyard. You can bounce cards either on the field, their graveyard, your field if you wanted, right? So if you have like not once per turn hand traps, you have an effect Veiler on in the graveyard for some reason. You can use Altheron to bounce it back to your hand, and then you have another Veiler to use, right? It's a really cool thing there. But also on your turn, you're going to be using this card to add back a lot of your Dragon Tail monsters to be able to combo further. So having a card like this with just really good versatility, it really feels like Firewall in the sense that you can use it either aggressively or defensively, or use it to extend your plays. Besides that, all of the Dragon Tail fusion monsters currently in the game have the same effect here. It says if 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Now, the first effect, or the bounce effect, is only when it's specifically fusion summoned, but being able to summon this guy back and get, like, bodies on your field is never a bad thing, you know? Moving on, the next fusion monster we have is Dragon Tail Grammel. Once again, Dragon Tail monster plus 1 monster in your hand. It says when you activate a Dragon Tail card or effect, quick effect, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. I want to go over something really fast. This is a win effect, but it is not a trigger win effect. So if we think about win effects, those are going to be the first thing that's going to pop into your mind is it misses timing, right? This technically doesn't miss timing. It is a quick effect that has to respond directly to a Dragon Tail card or effect. It doesn't necessarily miss timing. It's just if they respond into if they respond to your Dragon Tail card or effect, you will not be able to activate it because this card no longer meets its quick effect activate condition. But you do have to respond to your own cards, so you can go activate Chainlink 1 5 mana to go ahead and fusion summon. Chainlink 2 Grammel. It's going to target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. Really cool card there. There's a lot of things that actually get this to proc, whether you're using your Horn, your Flame, your 5 mana, your Molar effect to fusion summon. Even if you're using one of the graveyard effects to go ahead and set, you can actually chain your Grammel in response to that to go ahead and pop a card. And then once again, it has that same effect if 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time. While this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. Once again, this is a really good thing as far as putting bodies on your field. This effect is only when you activate a Dragon Tail card or effect, so it's not necessarily going to instantly trigger as soon as you special it back, but this one at least you do get value out of just from it being on the field and being brought back. Let's go ahead and look at some of the other alternative options for playing this deck. One of the main ways of playing this deck in the OCG was with Branded. Now you can play this with Albaz, Branded, a whole package if you want. You can shorten the Dragon Tail package just to be like a small little engine. That's probably the best way to do it. Branded is still a very, very powerful deck. The main reason this really shifted out of the metagame is because of, really there's just better decks, you know. Malice was an insane deck, and playing so many Bish Chills in the format, it's just kind of got pushed out of the format, you know. Hitting the Gimmick Puppet, hitting our Brand Diffusion really hurt consistency, but it didn't really hurt the ceiling of the deck. And now that I think that we have Dragon Tail cards to put with it, I think it's going to be a very, very good deck for this format as well. We did talk about the Magistus cards just a little bit earlier. This is the main way to play the deck in the OCG right now, is they tend to play like a 5 to 6 card Magistus package in their main deck, as well as they play about 3 Shaddoll Beasts in their main deck. And their main goal when going second is they hope to draw 5 mana plus a Shaddoll monster, and they make a window on turn 0. The other thing that they can do is they can actually make Caliga using some of the Magistus cards, because there's one that treats itself as Alistair the Invoker, and so being able to fusion with that to make a Caliga is absolutely ridiculous. Then we have just a larger Shaddoll package. That's something you can play as well. If you try to lean more into the aspect of summoning window on turn 0, you can play 3 Shaddoll Beasts and 3 Genius in your main deck. I don't think that's the correct way to do it. Really, I do think that the K9 build is the best build. It has the most amount of like interactable cards and starters. And because 5 mana is a 5, it works really well with your K9 cards. The next build you have to look out for is a build that plays King of the Swamp and Polymerization. Basically just tries to get you to more ways to fusion summon. With King of the Swamp, they tend to play Dragoon in their extra deck. It's a little bit cringe. Dragoon is an absolutely ridiculous card. But now that I think we've reached a certain point in Yu-Gi-Oh!, cards like Dragoon are almost always outable by every deck. And so I don't think that's really the correct way to play it either. Just kind of hoping that you summon a guy that's strong enough and hard enough to out to win the game is not going to be a viable method anymore. Unless you're summoning like Liger. Liger's different, totally different card than Dragoon. But I don't think that Dragoon is the correct way to do this either. There is one interesting way to play it with Dragoon, though. There is a build of Draco Tail that plays Primate cards in it with 1 copy of Dark Magician in the main deck. The main reason they're doing that is because not only do they get synergy with the Primate cards being able to access things like Seals in their extra deck. A lot of the time their inboard is like Seals plus their Draco Tail stuff plus a Dragoon. That is a 2-card combo to do. But that is something to look out for as well, is that they're going to use their synergy to get them access to Dark Magician, which they can then fuse with. Just activating Molar Effect here, you're able to get so many resources that you're able to really get to like Keto Tail, or Keto Dragon Tail and Rahu, that you're able to like establish a board without like committing too many resources. And then at the end of the turn, if you go like effective Lordy Load, special summon a Dark Magician from your deck, then during your opponent's turn, you can really activate 5 mana whenever you're wanting to, and you can fusion summon into Dragoon using the Dark Magician you have, as well as like any Dragon dragon effect monster. And just so you know, Altheron is a dragon effect monster. Since we already got value out of him from being summoned to get the bounce effect, it's really fine to fusion with him at any point in time. The last build of Draco Tail that I've seen, the last good build at least, is one that plays Fright Fur in the main deck, like the Edgem Chain package. This is really just a way of getting more bodies and more cards to like fill your hand. It's kind of like what they were doing with Chimera originally, where they were just using this to like fill their hand, try to make Guardian Chimera. Once again, I don't think this build is very good. I think the two main builds that we'll see play, it's going to be the Canine build because the Canine cards are absolutely ridiculously strong. It kind of increases the odds that you play on turn 0 with your opponent because you can open either Phimena with like a combination of cards to fusion with, or you can open Izuna and do some turn 0 combo stuff to kind of disrupt your opponent. That is going to be the most consistent way of causing turn 0 interactions. And that's why I think the Canine build is really good. But the other build that I think we may see is the Magistus build. This all depends on if this come out in Juhu. We may not see these cards come out for like a whole year, you know. OCG doesn't like giving us cards that are cool. So, I mean, that could be it. We just don't see this build, and this is the only way to play the deck for the time being. But Branded also, a very cool way of playing the deck. There is just so many variations. And I'll have videos coming out later this week and next week that just kind of show off the different versions of this deck. Let's look at some combos. With the first combo, we're going to start off with Dragon Tail Lucius. That's the card I mentioned earlier. That's what we're going to be using as mainly our starting point for all of our combos. As well as we need any monster in our hand. We're going to start off the combo by normal summoning Lucius. We're going to use his effect to go ahead and add Dragon Tail Phimena from our deck to our hand. And then we're going to immediately use the effect to go ahead and fusion summon here. We're going to discard it, then fusion with that Lucius as well as any monster in our hand to go ahead and summon Altharion. From there, we're going to go Chainlink 1 Altharion, Chainlink 2 Lucius. Lucius is going to set our Rahu, which is our branded fusion, basically, from our deck to our spell and trap zone. And Altharion is going to go ahead and add back our Phimena. The reason that we're mainly adding back Phimena here is because we've used the first effect of the card to go ahead and discard it and fusion summon, but we have not used the second effect to go ahead and set whenever we do fusion summon with it as fusion material. From there, we're going to go ahead and flip up our Rahu. We're going to fusion with that Phimena so we can get value out of it, as well as we're going to send our other fusion monster Urgula from our deck to the grave, our other fusion material, and we're going to go ahead and summon the other Dragon Tail fusion monster Gramo. From there, we're going to get two triggers. We're going to get the Phimena as well as the Urgula to go ahead and set our cards in our spell and trap zone. We're going to set Horn as well as Flame, so we're getting both trap cards in rotation almost instantly. Super easy. This is going to be happening in pretty much every combo with the deck. And then from there, we are going to use the effect of Urgula in our graveyard, go ahead and add back our Phimena, and then put Urgula at the bottom of our deck. So this is going to be our inboard here. We have Flame, which is a spell trap negate and a draw. We have Horn, which is a removal and a draw. We have our Grammel, which is basically just any sort of pop that we want at any point in time by using any Dragon Tail card. And then we have Phimena. Phimena is really unique here because you can use this in a lot of different ways to fusion summon. If you look at specifically the list that I had with the Canine build, this deck doesn't play that many fusion monsters. There's the one, the Secretarion Dragon. That card's really not going to be used that much. That's mainly a Mirror Match card or anything that plays dragons or spellcasters. But you can actually use Phimena's effect at any point during this turn. Discard it and fuse with any monster in your hand as well as the Dragon Tail monster you already have on your field to go ahead and make another Altharion. And depending on how many monsters you use from your hand, you can get a lot of disruptions from this one interaction. In this next combo, we're going to be looking at the combo with Lucius and any monster in our hand through Droll. This is going to be one that I'll play pretty fast here because there's not much to look at. The main point I wanted to get across while doing this is just showing that Droll almost does nothing to this deck in a lot of different situations. So we're going to go normal Lucius, add 5 minutes, same as last time. We're going to get Droll, then we're going to go, okay, that was really cool. I do not care. We're going to use 5 minutes, same as last time. Fusion with the Lucius, fusion with the Fuwalos, make an Altharion, as well as Chainlink 2 Lucius to go ahead and set. We're going to set our Rahu. We're going to add back our 5 minutes. Now we're going to activate the Rahu. We're going to fusion with the 5 minute, as well as the same guy as last time, the Urgula. We are going to summon our Graham. Then we can go Chainlink 1, 5 minute, Chainlink 2 Urgula, and we can go ahead and set both the traps. And then we can use the effect of Urgula to go ahead and add back our 5 minute. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but if you go back about 30 seconds, this is the same board we had 30 seconds ago. Exact same board. Everything is exactly the same. And that was our opponent discarding a card for fun. Absolutely crazy that we're able to do that off of one card super, super easily. The next combo I have here is if we have Key 2 Dragon Tail as well as any monster in our hand. We're going to activate Key 2 Dragon Tail. If you don't remember what this card does, it says add 1 Dragon Tail monster from our deck to our hand. I don't know if you figured it out yet, but we are just going to add Lucius, and we are going to do the exact same combo we did 30 seconds ago. I'll go ahead and fast forward through this just so you guys can see the interactions again. But it's the same board. You're going to be doing this in pretty much every instance you have with the deck. This deck makes a very medium-powered, very consistent board with just the Dragon Tail cards. Now, when you start to bring in other engines to it, like if you bring in the Canine cards or the Shaddoll cards or the Magistus cards, the combos start to change a lot. But if you're just doing Dragon Tail stuff, you're going to get to a board like this just about every single time. Then finally, let's look at a combo where we don't have Lucius at all. This is with us drawing Rahu, Dragon Tail, as well as any monster in our hand. we basically just kind of start our combo in the middle of the turn. We're going to activate Rahu Dragontail. We're going to fusion with the Lucius, fusion with the card in our hand. We are going to go ahead and special summon Altharion. Then we're going to go Chainlink 1 Altharion, Chainlink 2 Lucius. Lucius is going to go ahead and set our Keto, the Dragontail. And then we are going to add back the Lucius with Altharion's effect. We're going to normal summon Lucius, use Lucius effect to go ahead and add 5 mana. And then we can use Keto to go ahead and add as well. It's going to add our Urgula to our hand. And then from there, we're going to use the effect of 5 mana. We're going to fusion with our Lucius as well as the Urgula on our field, or in our hand, to go ahead and make a Grammel. And we are going to get Chainlink 1 Urgula, which is going to set our Flame. You can also choose to set Horn in this situation. I think that Flame is probably just a better card. And then from there, you can use the effect of Urgula to go ahead and add your 5 mana back to your hand. Now, this is a little bit different because we didn't get access to both traps, but we're still going to pretty much the exact same board very, very consistently. It's a lot of low commitment to the situation. It just takes any monster in your hand, and you're getting to several disruptions as well as it's pretty hard for them to break this board. Whenever they do outsure bodies, they're going to go to the graveyard, and this like floating effect they all have that says if 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. It's going to be really, really difficult to deal with because anytime they like link summon or they like synchro summon with some yummy cards, you're going to be able to bring these guys back and just keep putting them on the field. It's a lot of bodies that they have to play through. That's going to be it for the combos I'm going to show off today, and pretty much it for the whole Dragontail complete guide. In this guide, I showed you pretty much everything you're going to need to know for the deck. If you guys had any comments or any other variants that you wanted to look at, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'll do more combos for this deck. The thing with this deck is that this deck revolves a lot around its secondary engine right now, and so it's kind of hard for me to put them all into one video. I just showed you the pure Draco Tail combos, no other secondary engine involved. Hey, if you like this video, leave it a like, comment, and subscribe. If you had any problems with the video, if there's anything else you were wondering about, leave it in the comment section down below. No matter what, I'll respond to it. But hey, I appreciate you guys watching. If you wouldn't mind, I appreciate it if you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Have a good one. Bye-bye.